What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. So I just really wanted to have a transparent, open conversation with you guys. I don't really too much speak on my relationships. Like, I don't do public with my personal like that, and largely because, you know, I'm just very protective about people who I love, but also because social media is not necessarily the place for relationships when you're trying to figure out where exactly they're going to something that's so public and chaotic, judgmental even, and just worrying about people's perceptions. And I just kind of wanted to shed some light on what I experienced personally and how that's really just kind of altered my perspective. And not all bad, because it's not all bad. I'm not an evil or ill wishing person. Like, I don't in no way, shape, or form want to block my own blessings, but it's crazy the things that you go through in life, in love, that shape you. You won't look at things the same, like, and it's just kind of scary. But you know, one thing that I always said that I have since learned I have to really get out of is that I despise vulnerability, and love requires just that. It requires vulnerability, it requires transparency, and it requires honesty, and it requires someone to see you, meet you where you are, and love you through whatever trials and tribulations you might go through just naturally as a human being. I think in my past dating experience, it's kind of hit me differently because it was something that I moved differently in, and so I expected a different outcome than what I got. So I met this guy in December of last year at an event that I am the event coordinator for entitled Greenlit ATL. He helped me break down all of the things after the event. One of my volunteers had actually introduced us because she'd overheard me say, you know, damn, he fine. But I didn't want to act on it. I'm at work. I'm trying to be professional. But he ended up staying, helping me break down. We exchanged Instagrams, and then he slid into my DMs asking me for a date. So that's how we started dating. When I met him, I still kind of like had dealings with someone, but I had kind of already made up my mind that that's not what I wanted to do. And when I met him, it was just, I felt like he met so many of the qualities that I always envisioned myself with down the road, like building a life with. We went on our first date, spending the holidays together because he didn't have any family here, and you know, we had been having such great chemistry. I was like, you know, spend the holiday. That might have been my first mistake, but whatever, everything happens for a reason. So Christmas came, New Year's came, his birthday came. I had literally the most amazing Valentine's Day. Despite how things unraveled, I will always be grateful for that experience that he gave me. We were initially both in my hometown, which is in Atlanta, and then he went back to California, and so I was like flying out every month. And so when I went to go visit in March, I had gotten sick, and I want to say this, I might have had COVID. Not to be a conspiracy theorist or to scare anybody or even myself, but from the airport to the hotel, I just felt extremely nauseous, and like, you know, you can just tell when your body is about to, your mouth starts getting watery, and you just can tell when you're about to throw up. And literally as soon as I made it into the room, that's what I did. But I was so excited to be there, and I didn't want to disappoint him, want to ruin the trip. But you know, I still went, met him. We tried to have dinner at Beverly Hills. I couldn't eat anything. Like, I was sick in the bathroom. Like, I left and went back to the hotel early. It was just really bad. And you know, when you're sick, you're not necessarily you don't want to do too much. Like, you're irritable, or I don't know how everybody else is when they're sick, but me, I'm irritable. Like, I don't want to do too much. I might feel achy, like I'm feeling nauseous, I'm clammy at that, like I'm not home. I was just kind of uncomfortable, and I wasn't eating. Like, I didn't have an appetite. I'm throwing up. I don't have an appetite. Like, it was just so not the vision that I had for that trip. But in that trip, we had a verbal disagreement. And you know, you're human, especially when you're not at your best self. You know, just natural things. I'm a woman, we're human. And it was our first encounter where we had like a verbal altercation, and I was just so irritated that I walked out of the room. Now, for me, I know I have a smart mouth. I know how I can get when I go there. And if I'm trying not to go there with you, let me de-escalate in a way that allows me to collect myself and come back in a calm, cool state of mind, to the best of my ability at least, and be able to, you know, work through or resolve the situation. But he took it that he felt like I was walking away from the relationship, rather. He felt disrespected ultimately, and in that moment I felt the energy change, right? Even when I had come back home, like us talking on the phone, like the conversation was different, the energy was just totally different. So imagine, you know, you're trying to reconcile the situation, you're trying to kind of like throw hints, like I could tell something's wrong, and the person is dancing around the subject. They're not trying to be direct, they're not speaking on it, they're ignoring the issue essentially. And then all, you know, so I let it go. Like, you say you're fine, you say it's nothing, then, you know, okay, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. For them to then turn around and say, I'm losing interest. Now, mind you guys, this is when the whole pandemic thing had just like started kicking off. I'm making these trips, you know, we're having conversations literally every day, all day. My whole call log, like, this is you take up all my call log. Like, I'm talking all the time. And it's just like, for that to have not been enough, and for you to still out of your mouth say you're losing interest, especially when I'm putting forth the effort and energy that I am, just knowing me as a person, like, give me an opportunity to miss you. So when you have two totally different people that don't have the same friends, the same circle, from the same city, it's important to actually take your time in getting to know that person. Because just because we may have had our first actual argument, it could have been handled way differently. That was your chance to see how I handle things and respond to things, and vice versa. And we could have resolved it from there. But for you to just kind of like not acknowledge or act as though nothing was ever the problem, like you're fine, and then blurt out randomly that you're losing interest. I'm not even going to sit here and act like that didn't hurt my feelings, because it caught me completely off guard, and I was unprepared. I was unprepared for it. And then it's immediately after he said it, he tried to kind of clean it up. And it's just like, no, you said what you said. You meant what you said. I'm just really trying to process, because you can't take words back. I'm not going to sit here and ignore like what just came out of your mouth, or act like it didn't affect me. It takes me a minute to be able to express my emotions. And I feel like he been so adamant about me being vulnerable and begging me to be expressive with him and to let him in. Like, he would say, like, how you act with your friends, and when you're with your friends, you act like that. Like, I want you to be like that with me. You want me to be myself? Well, allow me to be myself. Don't be so defensive or offended or so I just don't even know. Just don't be so like that. And then ask me to be myself, because that's not allowing me to be myself, you know? I'm not perfect. I understand I have, you know, things that I can work on, but that's anyone. And anyone who you enter into a relationship with and you seriously consider having a life with this person, you bring up kids and you bring up marriage and you introduce them to your parents and you talk about traveling together, you talk about having business together. Like, those are big life things. Like, and you know what I'm saying? You have to take the time to get to know the person that you're planning to have this type of a life with, you know? And so I just feel like for it to have been our first spat, for that to then be the aftermath of it, it didn't sit well with me, you know? From there, it was a lot of kind of trying to make up, bring some reassurance, because I told him I don't feel emotionally secure, you know, like that kind of shattered the foundation period. You know, you want your foundation to be solid, but it's kind of shaking for me after that comment. And I'd already known that something was wrong, but I'm the type of person where I like to speak on it. Like, I need to address it. I need to get it off my chest. And if I'm your significant other, then we need to be able to communicate about whatever the problem might be. Because I'm not into, like, you letting stuff fester. Like, I don't like that. And I think that's what happened. So that was my March Madness, right? So it went from me, it went from March Madness to me being the April Fool. Like, I can't even make this up. April, things are kind of still a little shaky, but still kind of like trying to get back to normal. And, you know, he's back on this whole, I miss you so much. Like, when are you moving out here? That's the other thing. Like, you're talking about me moving, you know, out to LA. You're putting things in the apartment for me and you. And, you know, I'm thinking like, wow, like, one, I'm thinking this is kind of fast. But I'm also thinking like, you know, people know what they want. Who am I to say, you know, I'm trying something different? Like, I'm going with the flow. I'm trying to be open. I'm trying to allow myself to be vulnerable with this person in this space. So now, like, COVID is starting to get a peak, and I actually vlogged. You guys. I vlogged this trip to LA. That was actually short-lived, because after the last day that I spent there, I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning to this gentleman, you know, up. I'm just like, you know, why are you awake? Like, what's wrong? He's like, you know, just up. Like, I'm like, okay, well, what's going on? Do you want to talk about it? And you know how someone kind of dances around a question? Someone kind of like says a whole lot but isn't saying nothing. So he's just like, you know, you're amazing. Like, but like, you know, I'm just not sure if this is the route that I want to take. Mind you guys, it's probably like day 3 or 4 of me being in LA. This is the first day that we've actually spent the full day together. And, you know, we had dinner, we're in the bed, I'm asleep, and then I wake up to you trying to feed me this BS. So after so much of him talking in circles, I'm like, what are you trying to say? Is this not what you want to do? And he says, yes. Imagine being in a whole different time zone with someone who was so adamant about you coming, with someone who was so adamant about building a life with you, to tell you at 3 o'clock in the morning that this is no longer what they want. This is no longer what they want. You're in the middle of a pandemic. Things are shut down. Like, it's not like life is just business as usual. Like, no, like, you are, I'm in your space, I'm in your state, I'm here for you to just tell me that this is no longer what you want. I was shocked, and I literally felt my heart kind of drop. I was embarrassed. unwanted. I was confused. I was just kind of unprepared for that to have been what he said. So mind you, I got here, I put all my clothes in the closet. Like I've essentially kind of like moved in, and it's now 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm packing everything back up. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning LA time. I call my sister, I call my best friend, like they're not up. Imagine trying to lay next to someone knowing that they no longer even want you there, and then being just totally unprepared for the conversation. You guys, I didn't even have a flight back home yet. Like nothing was booked. Like I didn't know when I was going home because I planned on staying there for a while. Like a complete turn of events. I was angry. Like I got up and so I'm packing my clothes. He's like, why are you packing your clothes right now? Because I'm ready to go. I'm about to get the fuck out of here. Like I don't understand why. He was like, well, you don't have to go. Like, I don't want you to leave. Well, surely you don't want me to stay. Like, you just told me this is not what you want, y'all. I was so, my mental was everywhere. My mental was everywhere. I couldn't even lay down. My body was shaking. Like, the sun is coming up, y'all. I had to get up. I had to go outside. So finally, my best friend calls me back. And I'm telling her everything that's going on. And I'm probably like screaming into the phone because I was just so upset, like, and confused. I felt like I had been so stupid that I had wasted my time. I was mad because I felt like I was stranded. I didn't have anyone in LA, like, to turn to. I was overwhelmed. So he's like, Morgan, we need to have a conversation. I'm just like, I really don't too much know what else we need to talk about because you just told me that this isn't what you want. So if this is not what you want, then what else could we possibly have to talk about? I don't want to talk. I'm done talking. Well, after I talked to my best friend, she kind of calmed me down a little bit. I went inside and I asked him to book me a flight home now, like right now. He was like, I don't want you to go. And I'm just like, at this whole, you lost any decision-making power you had when that bull crap came out your mouth. So I don't care what you want. I want to go home. So you're going to pay for me to get home right now. And that's exactly what happened. When the Uber came, like I went outside, I asked him to take my bags to the Uber. Like the Uber man packed me up, closed the door and everything. He came to the door, like tried to kiss me goodbye. I'm just like, I'm really honestly and truthfully disgusted and turned off, and I'm leaving, and you're never going to touch or kiss me ever again. He showed me a lot of things that I think I needed to be reminded of as it relates to dating, the standard, how I want to be treated. Fast forward, because y'all thought that was what made me foolish. No. So I'm back in Atlanta, right? And my volunteer reaches out to me maybe 3 weeks later and was like, hey, you know, is this still your number? I'm like, you know, hey girl, what's up? And she was like, I really need to talk to you. And I'm just like, girls, in the middle of a pandemic, like ain't no stores, ain't nothing open, like what are you talking about? She proceeds to tell me that my ex is trying to pursue her and that she just wanted to let me know out of respect in case it becomes anything, because we're going to be working together and she doesn't want it to be a problem. Girl, what? That, like, I can understand if this is someone that I casually dated, like we just went to dinner and we texted a few times here and there, then, you know, whatever. No. This is someone that I'm going in and out of town with, that I'm talking to all of the time, that I'm exclusively dating, that you quote unquote introduced me to at the event, all because you relayed that little message that no one even ever asked you to. You are now, and my whole thing was like, well, are you asking me or are you telling me? Because at this point, I feel like I'm being informed. You're not inquiring, you're informing. And I was just so disgusted. I was just so disgusted, because it just goes to show the character of people. I don't disrespect people, nor do I stand for disrespect. And then it was only 3 weeks afterwards. And this is someone, like I said, you're talking to me about kids, and you're talking to your family about us having kids. And and even if that wasn't something that was happening like in the immediate future, is it something that you just tell any and everyone? Like, I'm grown, y'all. I'm grown. And I'm not finna have or potentially be like, my husband. Everybody's not my husband. I don't even do boyfriends like that on the series. No, I will talk to people because I'm trying to figure out, who are you for you to even try to be my man? And so for you to have been someone that I was dating and that people knew about you, friends and family, I have a problem with you then going and pursuing someone who worked for me. Yeah. So, and then the crazy thing about it was, when I got the phone call, I already knew in my heart of hearts that it had to have been something along those lines. Don't ask me why, but I did. No, God is going to do something wonderful and amazing for me in my own personal love story. I cannot wait to experience an unconditional love. Jada and Will kind of talked on it in a way that a lot of us probably didn't understand. And I feel like marriage is sacred is also between two people. So when you put a billion and trillion people into a marriage, it's not going to make sense because it's not for us to understand. But it's really important to have someone who loves you unconditionally in spite of your faults and your flaws, that loves you enough to allow you to make mistakes. And I'm not talking about infidelity, or, you know, as it relates to sex and things like that, but just as a person, because we're always growing. We're going to experience things that change us, those life-altering moments, and it really takes someone to love you as a person genuinely, not for who they think you are, not for who they want you to be, not for what they think that you can do for them, but just because, hey, I see you and I see your heart, and that's what I love. And it's really important to have someone to meet you where you are, be accepting of that and love you in spite of that, because we're not perfect. Everyone is not going to have everything together. I don't want anyone that has everything together, because I want us to be able to build and obtain some things together. Like, let's go through some shit that's going to make us closer, you know? I don't regret my dating situation. I definitely do feel like it was an eye-opener, because I hadn't experienced anything like that ever. I had never experienced anything like that, and I'm not angry anymore. It is what it is. I've let it go. I did go on a date today, and it was cute. I enjoy kind of getting to know different people and pulling and seeing, you know, what I want, what I don't want, what I like and what I don't like. But, you know, it's a learning experience, and you have to be vulnerable. And to be vulnerable, I used to always say I despise vulnerability because I hate looking weak. But to be vulnerable, and to be vulnerable in love, is a different type of strength. For someone to be able to love you in your most vulnerable state, unconditionally, that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And that's the type of love that you should strive for. Yeah. So I just kind of wanted to let you guys know what your girl had going on. Like, I know I don't really speak on my relationships and stuff like that, but I really just kind of had to process what I was going through. It hit me the hardest because it was probably one of the most serious dating relationships that I had in a while. The lesson was more valuable, for sure. So yeah, I'm outside, but I just wanted to let you guys share a little intimate, personal clip of my life. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you have any dating advice or have something that you can relate to, girl, sis, we are a team. Like, we're all in this together. And you set the standard for how you want to be treated, for how you want to be loved. You set the tone for what you will and will not tolerate from these men as it relates to dating as a woman. Like, we hold the power, okay? Insert City Girl lyric, whichever one, because it's all applicable, okay? I said what I said. Subscribe to my channel and comment below. See y'all next time.